Your Excellency, Madam Ambassador Mukantabana, Embassy officials of Rwanda Diplomatic Mission here in the United States of America, the President of US RCA, Mr. John Musine, RCA leaders, distinguished guests and friends of Rwanda here in the United States of America, my fellow Rwandan community of here Southern California. My name is Abdul Bigirumwami, the President of RCA here in Southern California. The genocide in Rwanda is one of the darkest chapters in recent human history, where more than 1 million Tutsis were systematically killed in less than 100 days. On this day, we honor those who were murdered during the genocide against the Tutsi and reflect on those suffering and resilience of those who survived. We salute the Rwandan leadership that the country has emerged from such shocking cruelty with a strong spirit of reconciliation and rebuilding the country. With that, we'll start with a 1 minute of silence to honor those who died during the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994.
Amazina yanjye nitwa Claudine Mukamwezi, nkomoka mu karere ka Kamonyi, icyahoze ari komine Rwanda. Mureke twibuke abacu bazize Genocide yakorewe Abatutsi. Mureke tubibuke, twababuze tukibakunda, twababuze tukibakeneye. Ndibuka umuryango wanjye, ndibuka ababyeyi banjye, ndibuka abavandimwe banjye bishwe urw'agashinyaguro. Ndibuka ba masenge, ndibuka ba marume nabo bishwe urupfu rubi bazira uko bavutse. Ndibuka abanyarwanda bose, ndibuka abaturanyi, inshuti n'abavandimwe, ndabibuka kuko hashize imyaka 26 ariko kuri twe ni nk'umunsi umwe, kuko iyo tubibutse bumva byarabaye nk'ejo. Tuzahora tubibuka, tuzahora tubazirikana, muzahora ku mitima yacu abacu twabuze, kandi tubijeje ko tuzajya tubibuka tuniyubaka, tuzajya tubibuka twubaka ejo hacu heza, kugira ngo ikivi mwasize mutangiye tuzacyuse. Ndabibuka kandi muduhora ku mutima. Mureke twibuke twiyubaka, turwanya ikibi cyose cyatuma Genocide yongera ikabaho, dukumira abapfobya Genocide. Hari abakiyihakana ko yabayeho, barahari, ariko ndi umugabo kubihamya. Genocide si amateka, si n'ibihuha. Genocide yabayeho kuko narayibonye n'amaso yanjye. Abakiyihakana mutubabarire, mutazadusubiriza igihugu mu mateka mabi cyanyuzemo. rero mureke dushyire hamwe twubake igihugu cyacu, dushyire hamwe twubake umuryango nyarwanda, kugira ngo ejo hacu hazaza hazabe heza.
Ndagushoboje wowe dusangiye agahinda ko kubura abacu. Amazina yanjye nitwa Ntazinda Eric, navukiye mu karere ka Nyaruguru, umurenge wa Kibeho. Uyu munsi ndibuka umuryango wanjye, ndibuka abatutsi bose biciwe mu kiliziya Cyahinda, ndibuka amajoro, ndibuka amarira, ndibuka imivu y'amaraso y'abacu bishwe bazira ubwoko batahanze. Muri iyi kiliziya Cyahinda hiciwe data na mama, bashiki banjye batatu, karumuna kanjye kari ku ibere. Haguye kandi ba nyogokuru banjye babiri, mama wacu n'abakobwa be babiri, abaturanyi biste n'indende. Ibi byose ndabyibuka nk'ibyabaye ejo, bikanshengura umutima. Umutima wanjye wongera gushengurwa iyo numva abapfobya Genocide bayitirira andi mazina kugira ngo bahishe uruhare rwabo. Inshuti yanjye nteze amatwi, Genocide yarateguwe ishyirwa mu bikorwa. Ibyo bikubwira ntabwo ari amateka nabwiwe, nari mpari. None rero umuntu ugira urukundo, wowe unteze amatwi, waba umuhutu waba umututsi, reka nkwisabira ibintu bibiri. Icya mbere, ndagusaba ko ibyabaye bitazibagirana, bityo bitore bitubera isomo kandi bitubera umusingi wo gukomeza kubumbatira ibyo twagezeho, ejo tutazasubira mu icuraburindi ukundi. Icya kabiri, nk'uko leta y'u Rwanda yakuye amoko mu ndangamuntu, ndakwinginze ngo tubikure mu mitima yacu, ejo tutazava aho tubiraga, abato n'abadukomokaho. U Rwanda rw'ejo rukongera kurebera indangagaciro z'umuntu rugendeye ku mazuru n'igihagararo. Muri ibi bihe bikomeye, nkwifurije kwibuka, wiyubaka, wowe n'abawe.
Hello, thank you for inviting me to join this year's virtual Kwibuka 26. I am honored and humbled to be able to join you today to mourn, to remember, and to honor the victims and survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. My name is Sarah Brown, and I am the Executive Director at the Center for Holocaust, Human Rights, and Genocide Education, located in Lincroft, New Jersey. The 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda is the fastest and most intimate genocide in modern history. It is shocking to learn that in the span of 100 days, give or take, more than 900,000 individuals were systematically hunted, tortured, brutalized, dehumanized, and murdered. The international community stood by and largely did nothing, or the actions they took were to the detriment of Rwanda. There are many lessons that can be learned from this instance of genocide. And in my experience working with survivors, but also interviewing perpetrators and rescuers from the genocide, I opt to benefit most from the lessons learned from our survivors and our rescuers. Our survivors, their stories of resilience and strength and faith and their commitment to not just rebuilding their own lives, but that of their community and their country are a source of inspiration for me. And the stories that I learned from the rescuers provide role models, people whom we all should strive to emulate, people we could and should want to become if, God forbid, we are ever faced with those types of decisions. For they took action to benefit those targeted by genocide, often at great risk to themselves and to their family. So for me, the lessons I take from some of these stories that I've learned from Rwandans, I take from them stories of courage, resilience, and also a commitment to take action when wrongdoing occurs. When I think about how we can take action as a community to prevent future instances of genocide or to intervene in current instances of genocide, I think about the necessity of these commemorative periods where communities come together and they not only resolve to come together to mourn and to remember, but they also resolve to be a force for good throughout the world, to take their example and use it to catalyze activism and lobbying and allyship across communities to ensure that we can take this oft-cited adage of never again and turn it into a reality for our community and for our children and our children's children. And one of the places that gives me great hope is when I am in Rwanda and I visit the universities and the secondary schools and the primary schools, of course, and I see the next generation of Rwandan youth growing up in peace and prosperity with a knowledge of their history, but also a commitment to ensure that as they forge ahead and become the next generation of leaders, that they will carry on a legacy of growth and peace and reconstruction, rehabilitation, and hope, just tremendous hope. And so again, I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to participate today. I am with you, and I hope each and every one of you is well and healthy, caring for yourself and caring for one another. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Richard Hall, the producer of The 600, The Soldier's Story documentary. It was an honor for me to be allowed to tell the story of the 600 men and women who were surrounded by an overwhelming number of hostile forces at the outset of the genocide against the Tutsi in April 1994. Their courage against impossible odds helped save thousands of lives. To tell this story, many veterans of the RPA spoke on the record for the first time, and it was not easy for them to do so. For example, Jean-Baptiste Kagera spoke of the pain of finding his own mother dead and his resolve to fight on.
Nasanzemo na mama wanjye ari hejuru y'imirambo. Icyo ni ikintu cyanshotse. Murambabarira kubera ko iki kintu ntabwo nkunda kukivuga. Impamvu nyivuze ni ukugira ngo n'amateka amenyekane. Numvise ko ngomba kurokora abantu benshi muri ngewe.
These soldiers were trained to fight in combat, but they were faced with a humanitarian nightmare at the same time. So they had to be soldiers, rescuers, medics, and social workers all at the same time.
It was difficult to see the scene. It was difficult to see where you can find many people lying when they were killed. It was actually very difficult. So that's how it was. It was difficult.
I can't think of another battalion in history that ever had a more difficult challenge on a battlefield. And yet, they prevailed and helped to end the genocide. To tell this story, we also had courageous survivors come forward who were rescued to set the scene of the atrocities that were being committed against the Tutsi civilian population.
Barabafashe barabagrupa hanze, group nini y'abahungu, barabamanukana bajya kubicira ahantu hari ofisi ya sector hepfo, bari barahacukuye umwobo munini, gutwara abantu bageze kwijana, bafitemo abavandimwe babo, bafitemo ababyeyi babo, abaturanyi, batwaye abantu tuzi twakuranye, abavandimwe bacu twavukanye. It was so sad.
It's vitally important to tell these stories, to keep history accurate, and not let it get denied or appropriated by the very perpetrators of this terrible crime against humanity. And it's a constant struggle to be vigilant. For example, there are hundreds of films about the Jewish Holocaust, but due to a lack of oversight on social media and elsewhere, Holocaust deniers are more prevalent today than ever before. We can't let that happen for the Holocaust or for the genocide against the Tutsi or any other historical event that needs to be taught and remembered so it never happens again. The 600 is dedicated to that end. Thank you.
On behalf of the United States Rwandan community abroad here in the United States, I want to take this opportunity to join the community of Southern California on this day as they commemorate the 26th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda that took place in 1994. This year, as we reflect 26 years down the road, we remember to give human dignity to millions of our brothers and sisters that were killed during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. We unite as a people to make sure that those atrocities that happened in 1994 against the Tutsi do not happen anywhere in this world. We renew as a dignified people, united as a people whose future is tied in the same garment of dignity, to preserve and protect what we have achieved so that we can build a Rwanda that's deserving to all and for generations to come. Let me take this opportunity to thank the community of Southern California for taking this day on the international reflection of the 26th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. I thank you and God bless you.
Dear fellow Rwandans, I thank Southern California Rwandan community and its President Abdul Bigirumwami for convening us today to remember, to reflect, and to comfort each other as we commemorate the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Kwibuka 26. It's commendable that you found creative ways to honor the memory of our loved ones and stand in solidarity with the survivors, especially during these challenging times. We are confronted by a global pandemic and social turmoil of unprecedented magnitude. I also thank previous speakers who offered words of solidarity. President of USRCA, John Musine, Executive Director of the Holocaust and Genocide Center, Sarah Brown, and film producer Richard Hall. My deepest gratitude to Claudine Mukamwezi and Eric Nhazinda, who gave us a heart-wrenching glimpse of what survivors endured during the 100 days of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Our presenters went into detail about various aspects of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda and stressed the fact that it was an ultimate crime that brought our nation to a near total obliteration. Dear friends, even though genocide happened 26 years ago, our world is still threatened by the ugly tentacles of the ideology. Perpetrators not only systematically sought to exterminate the Tutsi people, but also they continue to be the torch bearers of genocide denial across the globe. They continue to sow seeds of hatred and to find a perverse satisfaction and personal vindication in a fictionalized account of what happened in 1994. Genocide against the Tutsi happened in broad daylight under the watch of the international community. Denial occupied the center stage as the millions were thrown at the mercy of killers, while the Security Council adamantly refused to acknowledge the Rwandan killings as a genocide, lest they incur legal obligations under the Genocide Convention to which they were signatories. Denial is present in many countries that don't deem necessary to arrest people convicted of genocide crimes, roam free, unperturbed in their towns and cities. Denial is present and where in many institutions that knowingly try to scramble our history by establishing a false moral equivalency between a war and a genocide. Dear friends, the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda is unequivocal, undeniable, undisputable. It was only 2 years ago, after decades of agitation, that genocide against the Tutsi was finally adopted by the UN General Assembly in a historic moment of reckoning. The resistance to use the proper terminology of the genocide against the Tutsi has lent and continue to lend strength to genocide denial. The use of Rwanda genocide opened doors to various interpretations and it became a breeding ground for the double genocide theory. This is a deliberate and malicious conflation of liberator and perpetrator in a well orchestrated and easy to sell narrative of one of the worst genocides in our history. It behooves all of us to stand together for our humanity and fight against genocide and genocide denial. We must increase cooperation and partnerships to confront this evil. We must remain alert and dare to speak out when people are attempting to rewrite and scramble our history. Today, Rwanda is a new nation, nurtured by the hard work of our leadership and the resilience of our people. The genocide happened, and it's a part of us that we cannot erase. But we have transformed our wounded memory into a fertile ground from which we draw strength and lessons. Our collective memory has allowed us to look within and allowed us to rethink the need and the duty of living together. It made remembering an action and an imperative for peace, unity, and development. Dear friends, the crime of genocide doesn't expire, nor does time alleviate its toll on the survivors and the nation as a whole. As you probably have heard, the man who financed the genocide against the Tutsi and can arguably be one of the most notorious genocidaires, Félicien Kabuga, was recently apprehended and arrested in France. He will now face the courts after 26 years of evading justice. His wealth and his international networks would no longer protect him from the long arm of the law. Dear friends, let this be an added impetus for Rwandans and friends of Rwanda to call out on governments still sheltering fugitives to expedite their arrest and bring them to justice. I would like to conclude by sending a message of comfort to all genocide survivors who find themselves in confinement far from their families and their friends. Your resilience is unmatched. Your will to continue living and loving despite your pain is truly remarkable. We are here standing in solidarity with you as we remember and honor the memory of our loved ones. Stay well, be safe.